I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. So we have with us today a friend of mine, Dr. Aimee Baron. And the reason why I asked Aimee to come on the show is because I feel like I got very, very lucky. Aimee runs an organization called, and I'm reading this because I want to make sure I get it exactly right. I was supposed to have a baby. And the thing is, and I know this is long-winded, but before I introduce Aimee to speak, I just want to share a thought. I caught Aimee during her fundraising week, the 1 week in the year where she's fundraising for this project. And what struck me about this project and why I wanted to get involved was because of the name. The name is so powerful that me as a parent, anybody, when you make this statement, it hurts you inside to even picture this. And I think that what she's doing is phenomenal. And I'm going to let her explain what this is all about. Thanks for coming on.
Oh gosh, Ari, thank you. I have to say that I named this organization exactly that. I named it I Was Supposed to Have a Baby because I was hoping for that exact response from anyone who comes across it, right? You can't read that statement. You can't read that title without going like, whoa, what's going on here? Like what I need to know more. What it's not just, the Starlight Foundation. I have no idea what the Starlight Foundation is, but I'm just like picking a name. Like I wanted people immediately to understand just with the name. I wanted them to understand what I was trying to do. And, the name comes from a place of deep personal pain. I was supposed to have a baby. I was supposed to have many babies, actually. I am incredibly blessed. Ari, you and I met many years ago, and you saw I have 5 children. And thank God they are healthy and well and delicious and yummy. Most of them, most of the time. But in the story of building my family, we also had secondary infertility for many years. And we also had 6 miscarriages. 4 of those miscarriages were in the second trimester, and they were all in a row. And when I say I was supposed to have a baby, I had 6 babies that are not with us on this earth. And the pain and the struggle of the loss, in addition to the years that we were desperately trying to get pregnant and the doctors couldn't figure out why we weren't able to, there is a deep, deep, deep hole that sat with me, that I kept with me for all of those years. And frankly, even now, where I'm not trying to build my family anymore, that hole still stays. It is still very much a part of my life. And, this, Ari, I'm a pediatrician by training. I worked in a hospital taking care of babies for years, and then started to have my losses and had to leave my job because emotionally it was too difficult. I couldn't keep taking care of other people's babies when I was struggling to have my own. And at that point, those losses, I already had 3 kids at home, but it was too hard. And so, look, I wanted to give back. I wanted to try to find a way to make sure that people had the emotional support to go through any kind of fertility challenge. And so that's how, lately I've been talking about it in this way, so I'll use this language here. That's how I gave birth to my final baby, this organization called I Was Supposed to Have a Baby.
Right. And as we were discussing before we came online, you specialize in emotional support, because I was a little confused at first because, you know, in our religion, being Jews, we have this big organization called Bonei Olam, which roughly translated means creating the world. And that helps people that are infertile or have challenges having babies to have babies. So that's not your competition, but you're working together because you're all about emotional support, specifically using this amazing thing called social media. And something that you brought up that I found to be very interesting, as this is an extension of your journey, and you're seeing that many other people suffer from this also, is something I never thought before. The challenge of getting halfway there, meaning it's one thing to try to have a baby and not have the concept, so to speak, and just being frustrated. And it's another thing to become pregnant and to start going through the process and then lose a child, not to minimize not having a child, but there was something there. And that is absurdly emotional. I mean, I totally hear you.
Yes. And I'm even going to go one step further and say there are a million other examples of this kind of deep emotional pain that people feel beyond, you know, what you just said of someone who has primary infertility, meaning they don't have kids, or someone who was pregnant and then lost their child. Like, you know, another example is, what about people dealing with secondary infertility? It's what I experienced, but especially in our community, you know, depending on which specific town or, you know, place that you come from, the norm might be 15 children, 10 children, or maybe the norm is 3 children. And
Right.
what if in those places where there are very, very large families and you only have 4 or 6, there is still, I hear from so many of these women and so many of these families, it's because it doesn't only affect the women, it affects the men as well. They feel othered. They feel that they're constantly longing and hoping, and they dreamed and they thought that their family was going to look like X. What about, I'll give you another example. What about the families that, for whatever reason, can't carry a pregnancy? The woman is not able to carry a pregnancy for medical reasons, for emotional reasons, whatever it is. And in order to be able to have a child, she can use her egg and her sperm, but she can't carry it. So she has to use a surrogate. There is an entire loss of the experience of being pregnant and like worrying and forgetting about the whole financial piece and the angst of waiting and watching someone else be pregnant and holding your child. What about adoption? What about people who have to use donor eggs, donor sperm? What about the people who can't have children at all, who try and try and try and try? And fertility treatments, we know they're ubiquitous at this point. Insurance may cover, insurance may not cover. Wonderful organizations like Bonei Olam and others help to financially support people to get those treatments. But what if you do all those treatments and they don't work? Right. There is deep pain that this community holds, and that's what we try to fill.
Right. That's amazing. And, you know, as you speak, of course, people come to mind because we all know somebody. We all know somebody that can't have a child. We all know somebody that lost a child. Unfortunately, the world is full of unfortunate events. It's interesting that I didn't even consider the stigma for even larger families. It's like when you fall in love and you get married, so to speak. I mean, as Jews, we're not supposed to believe in falling in love. We're supposed to believe in puppy love that evolves. But be it as it may, you think of it as, okay, this is going to be my journey. I'm getting married. Cool. Let's see what happens. You're maybe call it more modern. You'll have a kid, 2 kids, whatever God, you know, hands you over. And then you compare that to a community where, no, your starting point is to have a large family. I just never thought of it that way because I don't come from that world and I relate to that world and I have friends in that world. but I've never experienced it. To me, it's like, okay, if God would have given me one, it's one. He would have given me six, it's six. But for them, it's a stigma. You got neighbors who have 10 to your right, 15 to your left, and it's real, and it's their thing. It's for them, it's a very real thing. And it's when you say something like this, there's always going to be naysayers and people judging. Well, they had four. Now, you got to really stop in these scenarios and feel for somebody else what they're feeling, not what you think they should be feeling. And that's pretty powerful. I mean, I heard everything you said, but that point right there, it just never occurred to me. So interesting.
We talk a lot about, we do a lot of education in addition to holding space for people's pain, but we do a lot of education on what to say and what not to say to people. We all know, as you said, like we all know the couple on the block that doesn't have kids, or the couple on the block that doesn't have as many kids as everybody else. How do you tell that couple that you're pregnant? How do you share the news of a bris? Do you offer them kvater? Like, there are a million different kinds of things that come in this space where the nuances are important. Let's talk about a regular Shabbos meal, right? And let's say you have a couple or someone who's single. Let's even talk about someone who's single who doesn't yet have the opportunity to have a family, doesn't want to be a single mother by choice. We can talk about, whether that is halachically allowed or not is a separate topic, which I'm not getting into, but right. They don't have those options at this point, and they're feeling that angst. So when you invite someone to your Shabbos table, to your Yantif table, someone who's single or someone who doesn't have kids, and if you invite them with other families who have a slew of kids, and you spend the entire time talking about formula, diapers, preschool, and the best place to get, baby furniture,
right?
And what are you doing? And so we do a lot of education in addition to the support about how do we best hold the people in our lives who we know are a little bit different, who we know, whether we know the details or not, it actually doesn't matter. We don't need to know exactly what their diagnosis is or what they're going through, but we can see. We right. know that there's something. And so how do we be kind, be sensitive, be inclusive in a way that feels warm and embracing for them and doesn't push them away even further? That's a lot of what we do.
Okay, so there's an obvious question here, but before we get into the obvious question, just to clarify, at no fault of your own, you used a couple of Jewish terms. So anybody who's watching that's not Jewish, we love comments. You want to know what a word means? Comment. We're happy to explain. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're just different experiences in Jewish religion. But I'm sorry, what?
No, what I was going to say is what I do this a lot in my work also, because we not only support the Orthodox Jewish community, but we support everyone in the Jewish community. And so what I was specifically talking about is, these Sabbath meals or holiday meals, they're akin to like a Thanksgiving meal, frankly. Right. These big meals where you're inviting people and and how to be kind, and just the other places where there are different celebrations that we have in order when a baby is born, and how to really be thoughtful about speaking to someone when those celebrations are happening.
Right. So here's the obvious question. To me, it's an obvious question. Your support system, this project you have, is for people that don't have children. So how are you giving your message over to the people that should be sensitive to them?
So the answer is, I'm going to rephrase your question. This nonprofit?
I'm married, so I'm used to it.
It's all good. Our nonprofit is for everyone. It's for, as we just said, a minute and a half ago, it's for the person who doesn't have children yet, but it's also for the people who may have 3 or 4 and still don't have the number that they hoped for. But because look, we're now in our 4th year, and we have created a name for ourselves in the community. People know that we exist to hold space for those who are struggling, but they also are coming to us and asking us all of these other educational questions of how do we be kind? How do we be sensitive? So our audience is not just the people who are immediately affected. It's everyone. And
That's wonderful.
if I can, I'll throw in one statistic for you. Okay, maybe 2 statistics if you'll allow. 1 in 6 couples are going through some sort of infertility. And 1 in 4 pregnancies, not 1 in 4 couples, but 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a loss. So if you sit with those numbers, that means that everything that we've been talking about here, Ari, actually it's happening to you, or it's happening to someone that you love.
Wow.
And so the reality is that this is a human problem. It's not a Jewish problem. It's not a Jewish religious problem. It's not a female problem. It is a human problem. And so our goal is to reach as many people as possible in order to be able to sensitize them and to help them support themselves and to help everyone else in their lives who are going through this.
Got it. So just to clarify, you're there not only to be an emotional support, but also to give them direction. You have ideas and solutions and things up your sleeve from your own experience and from the fact that you're practicing this right now. So you're like a full stop shop. And that's amazing.
Full stop shop. We have 6 staff members who are working here, who are working tirelessly to help bring the content and bring support to all of you. We have lots and lots of resources on our website, including a podcast that we're just about to come to our 100th episode that has lots and lots of people's stories and more information about how to get through holidays, how to get through special events, how to deal with specific medical challenges that come up, adoption, surrogacy, PCOS, et cetera. We have specific resources also about what to say and what not to say. That's all on our website. And we're also starting to build out a course library that's easily accessible, all again on our website, of all the things we've covered on our different social media platforms, all the different topics. And we're just starting. So we have 4 topics that are slowly being added now, but through the rest of the year, we are going to be adding to that consistently as well.
That is great. Okay. And obviously you're going to send me everything to link in the description so that people can just start right away just by clicking down and opening up the description. And I'm glad to be a little part of this. I'm so happy to have had you on here. Thank you, Aimee. I really appreciate this.
Thank you for the opportunity. Every time I have an opportunity to share with someone else, it means that we're reaching farther into the community and giving people support. So it is, I'm so grateful to you for allowing me to do this today. Thank you.